The ball sailed through the air like a comet, straight for my chest, but my eyes weren't on it. They were locked on him, standing there on the sidelines with that quiet intensity that made my stomach twist. "Catch it, Alex!" Coach yelled, but his voice blurred into the roar of the crowd, because in that split second, as leather met my palms, I saw Uncle Mike's lips part in a smile that wasn't for the game. It was for me, and it shattered everything I thought I knew about hiding. I'd always called him Uncle Mike, even though he wasn't blood, just Dad's old college buddy who'd stuck around through the divorces, the late-night barbecues, and the way Dad leaned on him when Mom bailed for good. He was the steady one, the guy with the salt and pepper beard and laugh lines that crinkled like worn leather, showing up for every birthday with a six-pack and stories from his days coaching Pee-wee soccer in Ohio. 42. Divorced himself after his wife couldn't handle the long hours at the fire station. And now he was just there. Reliable. Safe. Until this trip. It was the end of junior year at Lincoln High in suburban Chicago, and our class was headed to Camp Shawnee in southern Illinois for the annual Leadership and Legacy Retreat. A fancy name for 3 days of team-building ropes courses, bonfires, and forced vulnerability sessions that left everyone smelling like bug spray and existential dread. Dad was supposed to chaperone, but his promotion at the auto plant meant overtime hell, so he roped in Mike. "He volunteered," Dad said over breakfast that morning, slapping a PB&J in my hand like it was a pep talk. "Besides, you two get along. Keep an eye on the kids, yeah? Don't let 'em burn the place down." I nodded, forcing a grin, but inside, my pulse was already skittering. Get along? That was underselling it. For the last year, since I'd come out to Dad in a fumbling mess of tears and takeout pizza, Mike had been the one who'd pulled me aside at family cookouts. "Proud of you, kid," he'd say, clapping my shoulder a beat too long. His hazel eyes holding mine like he saw the parts one was still figuring out. It was nothing, I told myself. Just uncle vibes. But lately, those vibes had edges, sharp, electric ones that kept me up at night, scrolling his Facebook photos from that one hiking trip in the Smokies, wondering what his hands felt like without the calluses from fighting fires. The bus ride down was a chaos of hormonal energy. Jake from chem class blasting rap from his phone, Sarah and her clique dissecting the latest TikTok drama, and me crammed in the back row, headphones in, pretending to nap while stealing glances at Mike up front. He was in khakis and a faded Cubs tee, chatting with Mr. Hargrove about fantasy football drafts. His voice that low rumble that carried over the engine hum. Every laugh from him hit me like a bass drop, and I hated it. Hated how my knee bounced, how I adjusted my hoodie like it could hide the flush creeping up my neck. We rolled into Camp Shawnee around noon, the gravel crunching under tires as the woods unfolded like a green blanket stitched with sunlight. Pine-scented air slapped us awake, and the cabins, rustic A-frames with screens instead of windows, dotted the clearing like forgotten toys. The field was the heart of it all. A sprawling rectangle of trampled grass ringed by oaks, where we'd play capture the flag later, or so the itinerary promised. Mike hopped off the bus first, slinging his duffel over one shoulder, and turned to help the girls with their bags. His biceps flexed under the strap, casual as breathing, and I busied myself with my backpack, pretending the zipper was the most fascinating thing in the world. "Alex, grab that cooler, will ya?" he called, nodding at the blue igloo by the steps. Our fingers brushed when I handed it over. Accidental, featherlight, and he paused, just a heartbeat, his thumb grazing my knuckle before he pulled away with a wink. "Good hands, kid. You'll crush it out there today." I mumbled something about the Bears sucking this season, heat blooming in my cheeks, and bolted for cabin 7. The guys were already claiming bunks. Top for the cool kids, bottom for the snorers. I took a middle one by the window, overlooking the field, because apparently masochism was my new hobby. As the afternoon unpacked, roll call, orientation hikes, the mandatory share your why circle where half the class lied about wanting to build character. I kept my distance, laughed at the right jokes, nodded when Coach droned on about hydration. But every time Mike's voice cut through, directing traffic or cracking wise about the cafeteria slop, it was like a tether yanking me back. Dinner was burgers on picnic tables, the sun dipping low and painting everything orange. I sat with my crewmate, Raj from debate, and Tyler the aspiring DJ, picking at my bun while they plotted a midnight prank on the girls' cabin. Mike was 2 tables over, regaling a group of sophomores with a story about the time he pulled a cat from a chimney blaze. His hands gestured wide, animated, and the kids hung on every word, their faces lit by the string lights flickering to life. He caught my eye across the fire pit, raised his soda in a mock toast. I raised mine back, heart thudding like I'd just run suicides. That night, the cabin smelled like Axe body spray and teenage regret. Raj snored like a freight train. Tyler whispered conspiracy theories about Bigfoot until lights out. And I lay there staring at the rafters, the day's fragments replaying on loop. Mike's wink, his thumb, the way he'd said good hands like it meant more than football. I rolled over, punching my pillow, telling myself it was the humidity messing with my head. Crushes were normal. This one, just a glitch. A stupid, dangerous glitch. But glitches don't prepare you for morning. The bugle blared at 6 a.m. A tinny assault that yanked us from sleep like a bad dream's encore. Groggy shuffles to the latrines, splash of cold water on my face, and then breakfast. Oatmeal that glued to your teeth and coffee strong enough to strip paint. I shoveled it down, eyes gritty, while Coach outlined the day's agenda: trust falls, obstacle courses, and the big one, the scrimmage on the field. "This ain't PE, gentlemen," he barked, pacing like a drill sergeant in flip-flops. "This is about brotherhood, pushing limits, finding your fire. Brotherhood, right?" I glanced at Mike, who was pouring seconds for the freshman, his tea clinging from the dew-kissed air. He met my gaze, held it a second too long, then looked away with a half-smile that said he knew exactly what fire I was nursing. The ropes course was first, a spiderweb of cables and logs suspended between trees, the kind of setup that tested your quads and your secrets. We harnessed up in pairs, belayers on the ground barking encouragement. I got paired with Sarah, who squealed through the cargo net climb like it was a haunted house, but my mind was elsewhere. On Mike, clipped in below, spotting Tyler as the kid wobbled on the beam. "Easy does it," Mike coached, voice steady as granite. "Breathe. You've got this." Tyler made it across, whooping, and Mike's clap on his back was all pride. No pressure. Watching it, something twisted in me. Not jealousy, exactly, but a hollow ache. What would it feel like to have that focus? That unwavering? My turn came after lunch, the sun high and merciless, turning the forest into a steam bath. Sarah clipped me in, chattering about prom dates, but I barely heard her. The first element was the zip line, a whoosh over a ravine that left your stomach in your throat. I launched, wind whipping my hair, the ground blurring below, and there at the catch platform was Mike, arms outstretched, ready to snag my harness. Our eyes locked midair, time stretching like taffy, and for a breath, it was just us. The rush, the drop, the certainty he'd catch me. He did, hands firm on the straps, pulling me to solid ground. "Solid run, Alex," he said. Close enough I could smell his soap, clean, earthy, like pine after rain. His fingers lingered on the buckle, adjusting it unnecessarily, and I swear his breath hitched. "You fly pretty good." "Thanks," I managed, voice rough, stepping back before I did something stupid like lean in. The group hooted from below, oblivious, and we moved on to the wall. A sheer plywood monster you had to scale with footholds that crumbled like trust. I was halfway up, muscles screaming, when a chunk gave way under my sneaker. Gravity grabbed, yanking me down, but the rope held, jerking me to a halt inches from the dirt. Laughter rippled from the watchers, but Mike's shout cut through. "You okay? Talk to me." "I'm good," I called, heart hammering, palms slick. But as I dangled there, replaying the slip, it hit me. This whole trip felt like that wall. One wrong step and I'd plummet, expose everything. He was waiting at the top when I crested it, hauling me over the lip with a grunt. We collapsed against the platform, chests heaving, the woods humming around us. No one else was up yet. Sarah still fumbling the net, and in that bubble of quiet, his hand found my shoulder. Squeezed. "Hey, that was scary as hell. You sure you're all right?" Our faces were inches apart, sweat beading on his temple. his eyes searching mine like he was the one falling. I nodded, throat tight. Yeah, just slipped. Slips happen. His thumb brushed my collarbone, accidental or not, tracing the strap mark. But you climbed back up. That's the part that counts. I wanted to ask what he meant, what any of this meant, but Tyler's yell from below shattered it. Dude, you're hogging the view. We pulled apart, him chuckling low, me burning from the inside out. The obstacle course after was a blur. Mud pits that sucked at your boots, walls you vaulted with linked hands, tires you leaped like they were minefields. Mike rotated through groups, his energy infectious, turning groans into grit. By the time we broke for water, I was soaked, exhilarated, and utterly wrecked. We sprawled on the grass near the creek, Gatorade bottles clinking, and he dropped beside me, legs stretched out, mud flaking from his cargoes. Tough morning, he said, tipping his head back to the sky. Clouds scud lazy, like they had nowhere to be. Yeah. I swigged from my bottle, wiping my mouth. You make it look easy, though, spotting us like that. He shrugged, but his smile was soft. Nah, it's the kids that make it easy. Reminds me why I do this crap. A pause, then quieter. Reminds me of you at that age, actually. All fire and no quit. I laughed, but it came out shaky. I'm still that. Mostly the no quit part. His gaze slid to me, warm and weighted. Don't sell yourself short, Alex. You've got more going on than you think. He reached over, ruffled my damp hair like he had 100 times before. But this time, his fingers trailed down, cupping the nape of my neck for a beat. Steadying. Or unraveling. I froze, pulse roaring in my ears. Say something. Anything. But the words stuck, and he dropped his hand, clearing his throat. Field next. You ready to show M what those hands can do? Always. I lied. Because ready was the last thing I felt. The scrimmage kicked off at 3. The field transformed into a battlefield of chalk lines and goalposts that leaned like tired sentinels. Teams divvied up. Juniors versus seniors. Chaperones subbing in for balance. I landed on the blue squad with Raj as quarterback. Mike volunteering for defense because, as he put it, someone's got to keep you speedy types honest. The whistle pierced and we were off. A frenzy of grunts and grass stains. The sun baking our backs as plays unfolded in chaotic poetry. I ran routes like my life depended on it. Slants, posts, buttons. Catching fades over the shoulder. Dodging tackles that clipped my heels. The crowd of non-players cheered from the sidelines. A peanut gallery of water bottles and whoops. But my focus narrowed to the blur of jerseys. And him. Mike was a wall on D, reading plays like a book he'd written himself. He sacked Raj once, gentle but firm, lifting him up with a good arm, kid, no harm. Another time, he blitzed through the line, forcing a fumble that rolled my way. I scooped it clean, sprinting for the end zone, his roar chasing me. Go, Alex! Legs, legs! I scored, spiking the ball with a yell that echoed off the trees, and the team mobbed me. High fives, back slaps, pure endorphin rush. But as the pile broke, there he was jogging over, helmet tucked under his arm, that grin splitting his face. Hell of a pick, kid. You're unstoppable out there. We were chest to chest in the huddle break, breaths mingling. His sweat-slicked skin gleaming under the relentless light. Couldn't have done it without the pressure. I shot back, bolder than I felt. His eyes crinkled. Pressure builds diamonds, right? The whistle blew again, pulling us apart, but the air between us hummed, charged like the storm clouds gathering distant on the horizon. Plays blurred. Interceptions, fumbles, a safety when Tyler tripped into his own end zone. But each snap felt personal. Like the field was our stage, and every tackle, every catch, was a line in a script we hadn't rehearsed. Halftime hit with us up 14-7, the group collapsing in a panting heap by the water station. I chugged, head thrown back, when Mike's shadow fell over me. He crouched, offering a towel. You're killing it, but ease up on that sprint. Don't want to pull something. Worried about me? It slipped out teasing, laced with something sharper. He paused, towel dangling from his fist. Always. Then softer, "Your dad's gonna owe me for this." Keeping his star athlete in one piece. I took the towel, our knuckles brushing again. Third time that day, like fate was mocking me. "He'd say your family." Mike's jaw tightened, just a flicker. "Yeah, family." The second half ramped up, tension coiling like a spring. They tied it quick, a bomb to their wideout that left Raj cursing in Hindi. We pushed back, me hauling in a one-handed grab on third and Long that had the bleachers stomping. But then came the drive that broke me. Not the score, but the hit. It was 4th and goal, them at our 5, crowd hushed. Their QB dropped back, scanned and fired, a bullet to the corner. I jammed the receiver at the line, but he spun free, snagging it mid-leap. Momentum carried him into the end zone, but not before his elbow caught my temple in a crack that lit stars behind my eyes. I hit the dirt hard, world tilting, the roar fading to a dull buzz. Grass in my mouth, copper on my tongue. Hands grabbed me. Raj's, coach's, but it was Mike's voice that cut through the fog. Urgent, breaking. "Alex, hey, look at me. Can you hear?" I blinked up, his face swimming into focus. Pale, etched with fear, hands cradling my head like I was glass. "I'm fine," I slurred. But he wasn't listening, already signaling for the medic kit. "Stay down. Jesus, Kiji." He pressed a cold pack to my brow, his free hand on my chest, feeling my heartbeat thunder. Up close, he smelled like effort and earth, worry carving lines I'd never noticed before. The game halted, teammates circling, but it was just us in that pocket of concern. His thumb stroking my jaw, unintentional, tender. "I'm okay," I whispered, capturing his wrist before he could pull away. Our eyes locked, and in that graze of skin, something shifted. Unspoken, unbearable. The medic shooed him off eventually, pronouncing me banged up but breathing. And the game resumed without me on the sidelines. Ice pack numbing more than the ache. We lost by 3, handshakes all around, but victory tasted like dust in my mouth. As dusk crept in, painting the field violet, Mike found me by the goalpost, unlacing my cleats with efficient care. "You scared the shit out of me back there," he muttered, not meeting my eyes. "Sorry." I watched his hands, strong and sure, envy and want twisting low. He glanced up, expression raw. "Don't be. Just be careful. With everything." The everything hung heavy, loaded with subtext that made my chest ache. We sat there as the stars pricked the sky, the camp's laughter distant, and for the first time, I wondered if he felt it too, the pull, the peril, or if I was just the kid chasing shadows on a field that couldn't hold us both. Dinner that night was subdued, the adrenaline crash leaving everyone yawning over mac and cheese. Bonfire stories followed, esmores sticky on fingers, ghosts and urban legends flickering in the flames. I stuck to the edges, nursing a bruise that throbbed in time with my thoughts. Mike was central, of course, strumming an old guitar someone dug up, his baritone weaving Wonderwall into something soulful, the firelight gilding his profile like a portrait. When he sang the line about maybe being the one, our gazes snagged across the circle, and the world narrowed to that note, that look. I excused myself early, claiming the headache, and trudged to the cabin, the night air cool against my fevered skin. Sleep wouldn't come. I tossed, replaying the hit, the hold, the half-confession in his eyes. Around midnight, a soft knock rattled the door. Raj mumbled from his bunk, but I was up, padding over in socks. It was him, Mike, in sweats and a hoodie, hair tousled like he'd run fingers through it too many times. "Can't sleep?" he asked, voice pitched low. I shook my head, stepping out to the porch, the boards creaking under us. Crickets chorused, stars a scatter of diamonds overhead. We leaned on the rail, shoulders brushing, silence stretching companionable at first, then charged. "Today's what got you twisted?" he ventured finally, staring at the dark woods. "Partly," I swallowed, the words bubbling up unbidden. "Mostly. You." He went still, breath-catching. "Alex, don't." I turned to him, the porch light casting his face in gold and shadow. "Just tell me I'm crazy, that it's all in my head." His hand found mine on the rail, warm and rough, not pulling away. You're not crazy. A beat, ragged. But it's complicated. I'm 42. Yeah, I know. Bitterness edged my tone, but hurt bled through. And I'm the kid who idolizes you, or whatever. He squeezed my fingers, turning to face me fully. It's not that. God, Alex, you're not a kid. Not to me. His free hand cupped my cheek, thumb tracing the bruise's edge, gentle as a vow. You've grown into this. Force. Smart. Fierce. And yeah, beautiful in a way that sneaks up on a guy. My breath hitched, the admission a spark to dry tinder. Then why? Because I'm the one who's supposed to know better. His voice cracked, eyes stormy. Your dad. The age. This place, it's all wrong. We were close now, breaths mingling in the chill, his forehead nearly to mine. I could feel his heat, the tremor in his grip. Feels right to me. He groaned, low and tortured, leaning in until our noses brushed. Alex, if I... A twig snapped in the woods. Probably a deer or Raj sneaking smokes, but it shattered the moment. He jerked back, running a hand over his face. Go inside, please. Before I do something we'll regret. I nodded, numb, slipping back into the cabin as he vanished into the night. The door clicked shut, but sleep, that was a lost cause. Dawn couldn't come soon enough or too soon, depending on how you sliced the ache. Day 2 dawned muggy, the sky a bruise of gray threatening rain, mirroring the storm in my gut. Breakfast was a haze of forced chatter, pancakes turning to paste on my tongue, while Coach hyped the day's vulnerability challenges. Great. Nothing says bonding like airing your soul to a bunch of half-asleep teens. Mike was there, of course, nursing black coffee at the counselor's table, his eyes avoiding mine like I'd become radioactive. When he did glance over, it was quick, pained. A flicker of apology that twisted the knife deeper. I shoveled food, nodded at jokes, but inside, I was unraveling, replaying that almost kiss like a glitchy reel. His breath, his confession, the snap that stole it all. The morning's activity was the abyss. A blindfold trust walk through the woods, partners guiding you with voice alone over roots and ravines. Fate, or the universe's sick humor, paired us. Mr. Hargrove read the slips from a hat, and there it was, Alex and Mike. The group owed like it was prom night, oblivious to the bomb ticking between us. Partners? He said, voice neutral, but his eyes, God, those eyes, held a war, want versus wisdom. I shrugged, casual as I could fake. Guess we're stuck. We started at the trailhead, me blindfolded, his hand light on my elbow to start. Okay, 3 steps forward, then veer left around the oak, he instructed, tone all business. I obeyed, feet shuffling on pine needles, the world reduced to his voice. Deep, steady, wrapping around me like fog. It worked at first. I navigated logs he called out, ducked branches with his heads up, even laughed when I nearly face-planted into a fern. Told you good hands, he teased, and the ease slipped back, fragile but real. Halfway in, the path narrowed to a log bridge over a creek, water gurgling below like laughter at our expense. Slow now, he said closer, his palm flat on my back. 1 foot at a time. I've got you. I stepped, balanced, the blindfold amplifying everything. The creak of wood, his warmth seeping through my shirt, the rustle of leaves like whispers urging us on. Midway across, I wobbled, deliberate, maybe, and his arms banded around me, hauling me steady. Easy, he murmured, breath hot on my neck. We froze like that, my back to his chest, heart slamming in sync. Say stop if it's too much, I whispered, testing. He didn't. Instead, his grip tightened, chin grazing my shoulder. It's always too much. With you. The words unlocked something reckless. I reached back, blind, finding his hand, lacing our fingers. He exhaled, shaky, and for 10 heartbeats, we stood there, suspended, secret, before the group's chatter pulled us apart. He guided me the rest of the way, voice huskier, touches lingering. Reveal at the clearing. Hugs, high fives, Sarah declaring it, totally romantic. Mike and I exchanged a look, loaded, and joined the debrief circle. Trust isn't blind, Coach pontificated. It's built on faith in the guide. If only he knew. Lunch was sandwiches under a pavilion as fat drops began to patter the tin roof, turning the world misty. I sat alone at the edge, picking at turkey, when Mike slid onto the bench across. Mind company? Free country. I kept my eyes on my plate, but he nudged my foot under the table, playful, insistent, until I met his gaze. About last night. He leaned in, voice low over the rain's drum. I meant it. All of it. But we can't. Why not? The challenge burst out, sharper than intended. Because of Dad? Or because you think I'm some fragile kid who'll break? His jaw clenched, rain streaking the window behind him. Because it'll break me, watching you hurt because of this. Because of us. The us landed like grace, tentative and true. I reached across, tracing his knuckles. Then don't watch. Jump with me. He covered my hand with his thumb, stroking slow. You're killing me, Alex. Good. Even the score. The rain picked up, thunder rumbling distant, and we sat there, hands linked under the table, the world blurring to gray, stealing a pocket of peace before the afternoon called. It was legacy letters. Write to your future self. Bury it in a time capsule on the hill. Solitary, supposedly therapeutic. I hiked up alone, notebook sodden, pen scratching truths I couldn't voice. You're braver than you know. Love isn't a field. It's the guts to run anyway. At the burial site, a shallow pit ringed by stones, I paused, sensing him before I saw. Mike, emerging from the trees, his own envelope clutched like a confession. Fancy meeting you here, he said, right? I smirked. Stalking my vulnerability now? He laughed, soft, and we knelt together, dirt cool under knees. What did you write? If you don't mind. Secrets I'd take to the grave. But about risks, taking them. I eyed his paper. You? He hesitated. Then, regrets, and how to fix them. He dug the hole deeper, our shoulders bumping. When he dropped his letter in, I covered it with soil, our hands mingling in the earth. Dark, deliberate. Back at camp, the rain held off for the evening's big event. The talent show around the fire pit. A mix of off-key karaoke and awkward poetry slams. I signed up last minute, impulse or masochism. Vowing a guitar cover of Hallelujah. The Cohen version, all ache and redemption. The crowd gathered as dusk fell. Flames crackling high, marshmallows toasting to char axe flew by. Tyler's beatbox fail, Sarah's interpretive dance that looked like a seizure. My turn came too soon, nerves jangling as I borrowed the guitar, settling on a stump. This one's for someone who showed me what trust feels like, I said, eyes finding Mike across the fire. He went still, profile etched in orange glow. I strummed the opening chords, voice steadying into the verse. I heard there was a secret chord. The words poured out, raw and resonant. The group hushed by the second refrain. His gaze never left me, intensity building like the song's crescendo. Love as broken hallelujah, secret as sacred. I finished to claps and whistles, but his nod, slow, profound, mattered more. Later, as embers died and kids drifted to cabins, he caught me by the path. That was you, all you. Scared, I teased, but my pulse betrayed me. Terrified, he stepped closer, rain scent clinging to him. And alive. Our hands found each other again, pulling into the tree line's shadow. No kiss, not yet, but his forehead to mine, breaths shared, the world reduced to us. One more day, he whispered. Then what? Then we figure it. Bold words, for a boy with a bruise and a borrowed guitar. But night whispers lies, and morning brought truth's edge. The final day broke clear, sky a defiant blue after the night's tease of storm, but the air held a brittle edge, like glass waiting to crack. Breakfast buzzed with re-entry dread. Packing lists, bus schedules, the inevitable what happens in camp stays in camp vows. I lingered over eggs, stealing glances at Mike, who joked with the freshmen but moved like a man carrying lead. Last activity. The field again, for ultimate reflection. A no-contact game of ultimate frisbee, symbolic of release and renewal. Coach framed it as metaphor. Toss the disc, let go of baggage. Poetic, fitting, terrifying. We spread out on the dew-kissed grass. Frisbee a red comet arcing under the sun. I ran with abandon, cuts and leaps that burned the doubt away, but my eyes tracked him. Mike on the opposing line, athletic grace belying his years, snagging pulls with hands that haunted my dreams. A long rally built, disc flipping end to end, the group a whirl of shouts and sprints. I cut deep, calling for the throw, Raj hucking it my way, perfect spiral straight into the zone. I leaped, fingers grazing plastic, the catch mine, until a body collided mid-air. Not a foul, clean play, but we tangled, crashing down in a heap of limbs and laughter. Him on bottom, me sprawled across, the disc pinned under my chest. The whistle blew, point scored, but time stuttered. His arms around me, instinctive, protective. My face inches from his, breaths ragged. Gotcha, he murmured, not letting go. The team hooped, pulling us up, but the damage was done. That spark, fanned to flame. Play resumed, but the field felt smaller, charged, every pass a pretext for proximity. Halftime huddle, water breaks, strategy whispers. I lagged behind, tying a lace, when his shadow fell. Nice grab, reminded me of yesterday's pick. I looked up, smirking. You always this complimentary post-tackle? Only when it's you. He crouched, eye level, voice dropping. Alex, after this. The conch shell blasted, coach's signal, and he stood, conflicted. Talk later. Promise. The second half exploded. Points trading fast, sun climbing to blaze. We pulled ahead, then faltered, the disc slipping like secrets. Final play, them with the pull, down by 1, seconds ticking in our chance. They advanced, methodical, until the stack broke. Frisbee wobbling loose toward midfield. I bolted, legs pumping, universe narrowing to that red blur. Mike mirrored, defending, our paths converging like fate's cruel joke. I dove, fingertips snatching at inches from turf. He lunged, body wrapping to block, and we hit again, rolling across the goal line in a tangle of victory. Point. Game. Over. The cheer erupted, bodies piling on. But we stayed locked a beat longer. Me atop, disc clutched, his hands on my waist, steadying. Up close, his eyes were tempests. Joy, fear, hunger. You win, he breathed. Not without you. We untangled slow, the crush pulling us up, but his fingers brushed my palm. Deliberate, a vow. Debrief was tears and hugs. Coach's speech on growth landing heavy. Buses loaded mid-afternoon. Bags thumping into undercarriages. Goodbyes laced with promises to text. I boarded last, claiming a back seat. Window cracked to the receding woods. Mike climbed on after, scanning, then dropped beside me. Chaperone privilege. The engine growled to life, camp shrinking in the side mirror, and his knee pressed mine, solid. So, that talk. I nodded, throat dry. Hit me. He exhaled, staring at his hands. This us, it's real. Has been since that cookout last summer, when you stood up to your old man about who you are. I saw you, Alex. Really saw. And it's wrecked me in the best way. Warmth bloomed, but caution tempered it. But I'm not free. The words dropped like stones. Not like you think. My stomach nodded. What? He pulled a photo from his wallet, creased, faded, him, younger, arm around a guy with laughing eyes, beach backdrop. Evan. We were together in college before I went the safe route. Married Lisa to fit the box. Divorced when it crumbled. But Evan, he's back. In town for good. Wants to try again. Betrayal hit like a blindside. Not anger, but a gut punch of loss. You're with him. Not yet. Talking. Figuring. His eyes pleaded. I didn't plan this. You. I leaned away, the buses hum mocking us. So what was I? A detour? Camp fling fantasy?
No.
Fierce, he grabbed my hand. You were the wake-up, the part of me I buried. But I can't string you along while I sort my mess. Tears pricked, hot and unwelcome. Sort it fast, then, because I'm not a what-if. The miles blurred, Chicago's sprawl reclaiming us by dusk. Drop-offs were waves and, see ya, Dad waiting in the lot with a bear hug and, how was it, champ? I mumbled great. Eyes on Mike's truck pulling away. Taillights fading like a bruise. Home was quiet. Shower scrubbing off the dirt but not the ache. Bed swallowing me whole. Texts pinged. Raj's memes, Sarah's gossip, but none from him. Until 1 a.m. Can't stop thinking. You're the unexpected. The best kind. Give me time. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. Time's what we don't have. But yeah, for now. Weeks folded into summer's haze. Shifts at the pool, Dad's barbecues. The city's pulse a distraction. Mike was ghost. Polite nods at the July 4th block party. A looking good kid that stung sweet. But Evan? I stalked the edges. Saw them at the farmer's market once. Shoulders brushing, easy as old habit. Jealousy gnawed, but so did hope, fickle, foolish. August scorched, school looming. When Dad dropped the bomb over ribs. Mike's moving. Out west. Portland. Job offer he can't pass. Wildfire crew. Big league. My fork clattered. When? End of the month. Dad shrugged. Oblivious. Sucks, but Evan's going too. Fresh start. The field replayed. Dives, touches that almost. Betrayals twist. Not his, but timings. I texted that night. Heard. Portland? His reply, yeah. Needed the change. You? Surviving. Come say goodbye? The field. Friday. There. Friday gloaming painted the high school turf gold. Bleachers empty ghosts. I waited on the 50, ball in hand, spinning it like worry beads. His truck crunched gravel, headlights cutting dark, and he emerged, duffel in back, like he was already half gone. Hey! Simple, loaded. I tossed him the ball. One last play. We lined up, no lines drawn. Just us and the echo of what was. He hiked it to himself, dropped back, scanning imaginary defenders. I cut right, then left, the route instinctive. He threw. A rainbow arc perfect, and I leaped, hauling it in at the end zone, feet kissing grass. Touchdown. We met in the middle, chests heaving, the ball forgotten. You always catch me, he said, voice rough. Not always. I stepped closer, the air electric. But I try. He cupped my face, thumbs on cheekbones. This isn't goodbye. Not forever. Then, soft as sin, his lips to mine, tentative then torrent. Salt and summer, ache and absolution. The kiss a culmination of stolen glances and unspoken hymns. We broke gasping, foreheads pressed. Portland's not the moon, he whispered. Visits, calls, whatever this becomes. I nodded, tears spilling free. Make it worth the wait. He did for a time. Letters in the capsule unearthed years later. His regret buried deep. But that field, it held us still. Two souls colliding under American skies. Unexpected, unforgettable. Epilogue whispers. He came back, 2 years on. Evan a memory softened by miles. Dad raised a brow but hugged him fierce. We built slow dinners, drives, the quiet of fitting. No grand gestures, just the humanistic grind. Therapy for his ghosts, pride marches for mine. Love as field, vast and forgiving. Turns out, the unexpected isn't the crash. It's the catch. The autumn after he left was a watercolor wash of change. Leaves turning crimson under Chicago's relentless wind. My senior year kicking off with syllabi and secrets. I drive by the field some nights, windows down, radio crooning Springsteen like a bomb. Thunder Road, all escape and electric promise. Mike's texts came steady at first. Photos of Portland's bridges fogged in mist, voice notes with his laugh wrapping around. Missed the Bears games? But this rain? It's you, steady downpour. I'd reply with game highlights, my stats climbing as captain now. But each ping carried the weight of waiting. Dad noticed, of course. He was never the subtle type. with his oil-stained hands and questions that landed like curveballs. Over Labor Day weekend, flipping burgers in the backyard, he cornered me by the grill. Mike called, said to tell you Portland's wild. Literally, some blaze had him out for days. He flipped a patty, steam rising like unspoken words. You too. Tight, huh? I shrugged, poking at coleslaw, heat not from the sun. Yeah, like always. He nodded, slow, eyes on the smoke. Good. Man's been through it. Deserves solid. A pause, then gruff. So do you, kid. Don't settle for less. Stuck, that vote, unwitting, profound. Coming out to him had been a minefield. The pizza box between us, my voice cracking on Dad, I'm gay. His silence stretching eternal before the hug that crushed air from my lungs. Love you, Alex. Always will. No fanfare, just fact. Mike had been there after, in the quiet. A beer on the porch, stories of his own closet days in the 90s. When AIDS headlines screamed fear and small towns whispered shame. It gets bigger, he'd said then, hand on my knee, platonic anchor. Little did we know. Fall blurred to frost. Midterms grinding. Homecoming where I scored the winning field goal under stadium lights. The crowd's roar a fleeting high. Evan's shadow lingered in Mike's updates. Amicable split, he said. The rekindle fizzling like wet fireworks. Too much history, not enough now. Relief flooded, guilty and green. By Thanksgiving, his visits dotted the map. A weekend in, crashing on our couch, Dad ribbing him about city slicker ways while we stole walks by the lake, hands brushing in the chill. You're different, I said one night, bundled on the pier, waves lapping like confessions. City lights smeared the water black. He pulled me closer, arm heavy around shoulders. Portland's good for thinking, bad for forgetting. We kissed there, slow under sodium glow, less fire, more foundation. No rush, no rope's course urgency. Just the lean of two men mapping uncharted. Back home, Dad pretended not to see, but his extra chair at the table said plenty. Winter clamped down. Holidays a haze of tinsel and tension. Mike flew in for Christmas, snow dusting his jacket like confetti as he hugged Dad at the door. We exchanged gifts in the garage, me, a leather journal for his downtime scribbles. Him, a silver chain with a tiny field goal pendant, for the kicker who changed the game. Dad walked in mid-embrace, cleared his throat. Get a room, but not in my tool shed. Laughter broke the ice, and that night, over eggnog, he pulled me aside. He's staying, right? The job thing, it's flexible. My heart stuttered. He didn't say. Dad clapped my back. Ask. Life's too short for field trips only. New Year's brought the pivot. Mike's call from a crackling line, voice thick with resolve. Quitting the crew, coming back. For this. The line held breath, then release. Plans tumbling. Apartment hunt in the suburbs, his resume to local stations. Evan gets it. Hell, he pushed me. Said I glowed talking about you. Betrayal's echo faded then, transmuted to grace. No villains, just humans fumbling toward light. Spring senior year was symphony. Prom, me in a slim tux, date a platonic wingman for the photos. Graduation under a sky vast as possibility. Mike sat front row with Dad. His cheer the loudest when I crossed the stage, diploma in hand. After, at the backyard bash, streamers and keg stands for the tame crowd. He pulled me to the oak tree, string lights haloing us. Proud doesn't cover it, he said, kissing my temple. You climbed every wall. We moved in that summer. A two-flat in Evanston, lake views and creaky floors. Days blurred to routine, me at community college studying sports psych, him training rookies at the station, calluses softening. Nights were ours. Cooking fails, movie marathons. The bed a sanctuary of whispers and warmth. No dramas blaze, but embers steady, humanistic in their hold. One August Eve, we drove back to Camp Shawnee. Anniversary unmarked but felt. The field lay fallow, weeds whispering over chalk ghosts. We spread a blanket, picnic of subs and stories. Frisbee tossed lazy till dusk. Dig it up, I asked, nodding to the hill. He grinned, mischievous. Your legacy or mine? We hiked, shovels borrowed from his truck, unearthing the capsule under moonlight. A tin box crusted with earth. Letters unfurled. Mine, a boy's bold dreams. His, a man's plea for redemption. We read aloud, voices mingling, tears salting the ink. To risks, he toasted, with water bottles clinking. To catches. Back on the field, we lay tangled, stars wheeling overhead, the unexpected woven into every day. Love, it turns out, isn't the hook. It's the horizon. Vast American, ours. And in that quiet, with his heartbeat under my ear, I knew we'd made it home.